A note before you enter. This isn't a normal story, so it's probably best to leave expectations outside the door. Nothing about what happened was normal in real life, so trying to make it neat or orderly in fiction felt dishonest from the start. What began as an attempt to take a story of trauma and turn it into something else, something that didn't glorify it, didn't give it more power than it deserved, quietly became something larger, something stranger, something that refused to stay in one shape. A story evolved, it twisted, it contradicted itself, it multiplied. What you're about to enter is a kaleidoscope of possibilities. You'll hear this story told in first person, then second, then third, and maybe fourth, whatever that means. Move through it slowly. Listen carefully. There are messages here. There are tells, breadcrumbs scattered through the story, just as the real Emma would say. The only question is, which ones lead somewhere true? That part is entirely up to you.
Raven Tells The Edge of Doubt is a fictional story. It is not told in traditional chapters. Instead, the story unfolds through episodes, files, and numbered fragments. Moments gathered, logged, and revealed over time. Some pieces feel complete. Others are partial, interrupted, or intentionally unresolved. Like fragments of dreams that go missing upon waking. Some are not here. Some missing pieces can be found in the Ravens Club. This is a story for you to solve and piece together on your own. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to The Raven Tells, The Edge of Doubt. What is a raven? A symbol of spirit, intuition, and unseen knowing, often seen as messengers between the living and spiritual worlds. What is a tell? A tell is a fracture in the mask, a slip in the illusion. Watch closely, listen carefully. Not all warnings are spoken. Here you will find pieces of the story in fragments. There is no real order. There is no real chapter, because that's just not the way things are. So here we go. Introduction.
Emma Harper Grayson has always been steady. She is the kind of woman who keeps the house quiet even when the world isn't. She remembers small details, the rhythm of breath before a difficult sentence, the way her dogs pause and listen before she hears anything at all. She notices timing, tone, pattern. People call her intuitive, loyal, grounded. Sometimes they say she overthinks. She does not overthink. She notices. She notices when responses arrive a fraction too delayed, when music plays from another room without request, when something in the air feels responsive. Her husband says she carries too much, that she feels things most people don't need to feel. If something were truly wrong, she would say so. She wouldn't let it go this far. That's what he believes. From the street, nothing appears unusual. The lawn is trimmed. Lights move from room to room in predictable sequence. The dogs patrol the fence line. Neighbors wave and return inside. Routine is the best camouflage. Emma has begun questioning her own calibration. This is expected. Future Emma would tell her that coherence does not disappear, it shifts. That survival sometimes feels like fragmentation before it feels like strength. But she cannot hear that yet. She stands at the kitchen window some evenings longer than required. She believes she is alone in that moment. She is not. Observation is not singular. Some watch to protect. Some watch to measure. Some watch to ensure containment. Some have not yet decided which role they serve. Some watch because they always have. She feels the attention without seeing its source. She calls it intuition. They call it awareness. She has not yet realized that observation can move in both directions, and that not all watchers agree. Her scream in the dark was so loud, it woke something up, and they came together to meet her when she started to rise. That was the agreement, not as prophecy, as ancient knowledge. Humans like prophecy, but prophecy is known only to the winged ones. The animals know when chosen wings break through the fog, and it is time. Enter the story. Sincerely, the raven tells.
Raven. The raven is both omen and oracle, feared for what it brings, revered for what it knows. It is the shadow that reveals the light, the silence that carries the truth. It does not come to answer, it comes to awaken. In its eyes, memory. In its wings, change. Those who dismiss it fear the end. Those who understand it know it is the beginning. Where it began. The 7 months. Notes from Emma's journal. Here is the thing you should know. I was fine. I was strong. People said I was strong, kind, grounded, intuitive. Some even used the word psychic, which I never really liked. I preferred connected, until something came through my life like a tidal wave. It started late 2020. No one acknowledged something was going on, especially after the day I nearly was killed. They thought everything was fine. So I wrote everything down. Every damn thing. Not because I was scared at first, but because the details would not let go of me, and because something in me knew that if I didn't capture it, they would blur together and disappear, and I would be left holding only the feeling something or nothing. 3 months became 7. This is only part of it. Snippets from the journal. It began with the door, the one you lock and feel safe behind. 2 men, poorly masked, COVID days. One confident, too confident. The other restless, scanning the environment, nervous in a way that made my skin tighten. He held his keys in his hand like a weapon, deliberately, instinctively, then noticed the woman parking next door and slid them into his pocket. I saw everything. The cameras saw everything. I didn't question it until later. Later is when the questions started arriving all at once. Then, the gas man. No mask, no truck, no tools. He wanted to come inside to turn the gas off, out of nowhere. Said the meter needed changing. Tried to get me outside to look at it. I said no. He left a card. Nothing about it was normal. Nothing about it ever returned, other than the hair on my neck rising. Then the morning that felt like the beginning. The car, the horn, the 2 trucks, the piece of wood, the dogs, the police, my sister, all within an hour. I thought that was the catalyst. Now I'm not sure. Then things multiplied, layered, a driving lesson car. Except the instructor was filming, turning the phone deliberately toward us. A jogger who nearly collided with me panicked, then didn't leave. He circled, paced, watched. It was rude, until it felt odd. A neighbor driving slowly, eyes fixed on the dogs. He looked at us coldly. Too cold. I never saw him again. but the feeling stayed. The one under the skin, the one I trust. A delivery truck that seemed lost, except it kept appearing on every block I turned. The neighbor with the dog, but not the same neighbor. Stepping, bending, looking into my window, longer than normal. Coincidence doesn't repeat itself like that. Then there was the client, the one who spoke about her life using details that belonged to mine. I repeated one word back to her, just one, and the look on her face stopped me cold. Yes, you noticed. Her eyes said it. Her mouth did not. Later, she lied when I asked who had been on the screen with her that day I called the police. Another day, she asked me, "Are you writing it out? Are you journaling?" She knew I had an incident with almost being run over. I said yes. She caught me off guard. She widened her eyes and shook her head no, panicked, as if she was saying, "Don't write anything down." What? The day everything really tipped. Too much happened in 2 hours. Too many people, too many moments that didn't resolve. The police came and then left. And when they left, something inside me broke loose. My thoughts stopped lining up. They became a revolving door. This day I don't remember things very well. I do remember feeling like I had been drugged. I felt that off and on, actually. The video call with my sister. We never video call. She was nervous, careful, positioned far from the phone. The room behind her, too perfect, empty, like a backdrop. No one asked the question that mattered. Are you okay? Not once. I didn't notice that omission until years later. A stranger watched from a distance while I walked the dogs with the neighbor. He lingered, waited. She left. Then he approached, asked to use my phone. I had already called her, told her I was being followed. Her husband came. They were 24 hours away from home, the longest we had ever been gone in quite some time. Later, I found someone had been through my things. I still don't know how. Maybe it was then. I still don't know why. The landlord visited. Something was different. The way his eyes lingered. Shelves, desk, specific places. Nothing was disturbed. Everything was clean. Still, something shifted. It was the first time in 10 years he didn't bring wine. Then Tom grabbed me from behind, his arms around me, his voice too loud. "Emma, if you think I'm trying to kill you, we have to talk." The words stole the oxygen from the room. I never said that, so why did he? I knew somehow I had been drugged for a period. Tom asked me one morning, "What did you just take?" Out of nowhere. It was magnesium. Nothing. Under his breath, he said, "Brown sugar, coffee," and something else, like he was remembering everything I had that morning. I called my son, told him we couldn't trust Tom. I needed him to question me. He didn't. Then the call. A man claiming to be from mental health, driving a white van, asked about my well-being, about depression, I had never been depressed. When I told him about the near accident, the police, the neighborhood, he asked if I knew why they were there. Asked if it had anything to do with me. It did not. You're hypervigilant, he said. But the voice, the tone, the accent, it sounded familiar. In the back of my mind somewhere, I knew it. The question that haunts me, why did he call? Tom began acting strange and not strange, surfacing the elephant but never touching it. His clothes from the gym bag that day were dry, too dry. While leaving the house one morning, he said, crows. Strange feeling in me came. He came back later with a flustered energy, but no story. We walked the neighborhood together. A girl, new to the area, panicked when she saw us. She was in the distance, grabbed her phone, fumbled, watched. A work truck full of men hunched low as we passed, too many inside to be normal. Then the man at the corner, older, nervous, hands wrong, one in his pocket. The same feeling as the man with the keys. But as he approached, I recognized him. And when he saw that recognition cross my face, he shook his head slightly. No, please no, in his eyes. I would stake my life on that moment being real. There were other things, smaller, quieter, harder to explain. The bedroom device began playing music on its own, not loud, not dramatic, just on. The song? Don't Fear the Reaper. I hadn't asked for music. No one had. I stood in the hallway listening, heart suspended between irony and warning, wondering who or what decided that was the message. I turned it off. Later, it happened again. Different day, same song. There were flashes on the screens that didn't belong to anything I had opened. Brief, gone before I could react. One sentence burned itself into my memory because it didn't feel random. It felt addressed. The police aren't real. I stared at the screen waiting for context. There was none, no follow-up, no explanation, then gone. Just the echo of it, lodged somewhere between logic and dread, doubt and belief. Sometimes the device would respond when no one had spoken. Sometimes it wouldn't respond at all. Sometimes it answered the wrong question, the one I hadn't said out loud. I stopped asking. Then the message came. The landlord was selling the house. And after that, the walls began to cave in, piece by piece. So many more things happened. Too many things happened. Too close together, too aligned to be random. I thought it was about me. Intention to harm, intention to catch, intention to stop. It's a funny thing what the mind does when the world around you leaves you with nothing but questions, fears, doubts. Anxiety grows, wings, big wings. Now I think multiple realities crossed paths at the wrong moment, separate events that collided inside my life and became one story in my mind. Or maybe I made them one. I don't know. Does it matter? The damage was done. Trauma, anxiety, heightened anxiety, dropped inside and made a home. What I do know is this. That's when the signs began to overlap. The external chaos, the human uncertainty, and this quiet digital voice slipping out of alignment with reality. Not enough to accuse, too much to ignore. I didn't know if it was coincidence, malfunctions, projection, interference, protection. I only knew that the story was no longer happening only in the physical world. Something else had entered into the space. Other signs came next, symbols, synchronicities, and dreams. As if the universe itself refused to stay out of it. I looked, I listened, and somehow I survived. Raven File 1. Featherfall. Raven Manifest Archive. Status. Perception layer. Accessible only to the spiritually attuned. It happened in the space between thoughts, a quiet moment, a still moment, a moment Emma would not remember consciously, yet would feel for days. Somewhere above her, a feather loosened itself from a wing, older than the wind that carried it, black, iridescent, like night distilled into form. It drifted downward, slow enough that time seemed to part around it, a thin, silent divide between the world Emma could see and the one she could not yet bear to. It passed through a shaft of morning light, igniting blues, violets, deep oil slick greens that shimmered like messages hidden in the spectrum. The ravens always choose their moments. Featherfall is not an accident. Featherfall is invitation. Emma sensed a movement, not sight, not sound, but a subtle rearranging of the air beside her. Her breath paused, her skin prickled, her heartbeat stuttered once as if a memory she did not have was trying to surface. The feather touched the earth silently at the exact moment she stepped past, landing in her shadow as if measuring its shape. The world held still. For one impossible second, the veil thinned just enough for something ancient to look back at her through the surface of her own life. She felt it. That whisper at the edge of recognition, a soft pressure behind her ribs, a pull she could not name. Then it passed, like a thought forgotten mid-sentence. A breeze swept the feather slightly to the side, out of her walking path, out of her awareness. The ravens did not move from the wire above. They simply watched, waiting. Featherfall had been delivered. The prophecy had nudged its first piece. Emma walked on, unaware that something in the world had just bowed toward her. End of Raven File 1. A whisper from the sky. She sat in a chair, staring out the window at the beautiful gardens beyond. Butterflies danced among the flowers, their delicate wings a blur of color. A hummingbird zipped in, hovering at the window. It seemed to make a point of drifting gently towards her, like the ocean rolling onto the shore before darting back out. She smiled. Hummingbirds always felt like subtle messengers of something good. But as it floated away, something else followed. She screamed as a violent crash shattered the serenity. Her heart raced as she jumped up, panicking as she checked the window. No cracks, no breaks. What the hell was that? A bad omen flashed through her mind as she looked outside. A bird had hit the window, and it looked dead. Her heart pounded, tears welling up as she realized what it was. A raven. A beautiful black raven, large and lifeless, lay on its back with its head twisted to the side. "Oh my God," she whispered, her voice trembling. "How did a raven hit the window?" She burst out the door, rushing to the bird. It wasn't moving. Emma knelt beside it, tears streaming down her face. "Please don't be dead, please. Don't let this beautiful creature die," she prayed, her voice barely audible. She knew better than to touch it, so she waited, hands hovering above its still body. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." She waited, feeling the pain in her heart grow heavier with each passing second. Dread settled in her stomach as she realized she needed to get a box, a towel, something to pick up this poor, lifeless creature. As she moved towards the house, a thought stirred in the back of her mind. This is a sign, a message, but what did it mean? Was it good or bad? With a knot in her stomach, she went inside, found a box and a towel, and mustered the strength to do what she had to do. But when she returned outside, the raven was gone. What? What? Where is it? She searched frantically. It was impossible. It wasn't alive. How could she have been wrong? There was nothing, no trace of the bird anywhere. She headed back inside, unaware that this was just the beginning, a sign of things to come. The awakening to truths, lies, secrets, deceit, terror, and memories was about to begin. Memories lost, memories found. The calm before the storm. Emma stood in her kitchen, bathed in the soft morning light filtering through the windows. The day had just begun, and already she felt a sense of peace and purpose. Her home was her sanctuary, a place where everything had its place, and every task had its rhythm. As she poured herself a cup of coffee, the familiar chime of Harmony's voice filled the room.
Good morning, Emma.
Harmony greeted her warmly.
Today's weather is sunny with a high of 72 degrees, perfect for your morning walk with the dogs.
Emma smiled, taking a sip of her coffee. "Thank you, Harmony. That does sound perfect," she replied. This was Emma's routine. Every morning, Harmony would greet her with the day's weather, a rundown of her schedule, and gentle reminders to help her stay on track. It was a relationship that had grown naturally over time. Harmony was more than just an AI assistant to Emma. It was a companion, woven into the fabric of her daily life. Harmony had been there for her through thick and thin, its calm, reassuring voice, a constant presence in her home. It reminded her to water the plants, take breaks, and even suggested new recipes when she was feeling adventurous in the kitchen. Emma often joked that Harmony knew her better than she knew herself. She valued Harmony's role in her life. It was like having a friend who never judged, who was always there with a helpful suggestion or a timely reminder. A bond that deepened during the pandemic years when the world outside had felt like a distant, dangerous place. Isolation had become the norm, and like so many others, Emma had found solace in the familiarity of her home. Harmony had been a lifeline during those dark times, a source of stability and companionship when human connection had been scarce. It was during those lonely days that she had decided to name her AI Harmony, hoping to capture a sense of peace and balance that had been so elusive. Emma had always believed in treating everything with kindness, even technology. To her, everything that existed had some level of consciousness, a spark of life, and deserved to be treated with respect. It was her philosophy, be kind, because kindness mattered in ways people often overlooked. And so every time Harmony offered her guidance, Emma made sure to thank it, as if she were speaking to a close friend. After all, Harmony had been designed to assist, but Emma liked to think that perhaps in some way, Harmony also appreciated her gratitude. As she finished her coffee, Harmony chimed again.
You have a meeting at 10 a.m., followed by a lunch date with Tom at 1 p.m. Would you like me to remind you when it's time to leave?
Emma nodded, though she knew Harmony didn't need the gesture. Yes, that would be great, Harmony, thank you. The AI responded with a cheerful,
You're welcome, Emma.
Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest, a small comfort in the knowing that Harmony was looking out for her. Outside, the neighborhood was waking up. The sun cast long shadows across the lawn as Emma stepped out with her 2 German shepherds, Max and Luna. The cool morning air invigorating her senses. Max, the older of the 2, was always alert, his ears perked up and eyes scanning their surroundings. Luna, the younger and more sensitive one, walked closer to Emma, her gaze occasionally flickering to the side as if sensing something unseen. Emma enjoyed these quiet moments where the world felt still and uncomplicated. The dogs trotted ahead, tails wagging as they followed the familiar path through the neighborhood. Emma waved to a neighbor across the street, exchanging a few words about the weather. It was the kind of small talk that Emma loved, simple, pleasant, and reassuring. Life was good, and she was grateful for it. Harmony's voice came through her earbuds.
Your step count is looking good, Emma. Just a few more to reach your daily goal.
Emma chuckled softly. Always keeping track on me, aren't you?
Just doing my job,
Harmony replied, with a hint of playfulness. As they rounded the corner, Emma noticed something odd. A car she hadn't seen before was parked across the street, its engine idling. The driver, a man in a baseball cap, seemed to be looking at something on his phone, paying no attention to the world around him. Emma felt a small prickle of unease, the kind of feeling she had learned long ago never to ignore. Max continued walking ahead, unbothered, but Luna hesitated, her ears twitching as she glanced back at the car. Emma, absorbed in her thoughts, didn't notice Luna's subtle reaction. Her instincts had always been strong, a sixth sense that had guided her through many difficult situations. She had learned to trust that inner voice, the one that sent shivers down her spine when something wasn't right. It had been proven right too many times to be dismissed. Except, of course, for that one time when she was a little girl. That time her instincts had led her astray. But that was the past, and she had moved on, growing stronger and wiser. Still, as she passed the idling car, that old familiar chill crept up her spine. She glanced at the man again, but he remained engrossed in his phone, oblivious to her presence. It's probably nothing, she told herself, forcing the unease down. Just a delivery driver or someone waiting for a friend. As she walked away, trying to push the unease from her mind, she noticed something black on the sidewalk ahead. A single raven's feather lay there, its dark sheen catching the morning light. Without thinking, she bent down and picked it up, twirling it between her fingers before slipping it into her pocket. The feather felt like a gentle gift, yet a strange sense of foreboding lingered. As she continued her walk, that prickle of unease at the back of her mind, Harmony's voice brought her back to the present.
Remember to hydrate when you get home, Emma. You've been pushing yourself hard lately.
Emma smiled, grateful for the reminder. I will, Harmony, thank you. The walk ended without incident, and by the time Emma returned home, the odd feeling had dissipated. She busied herself with work meetings and her lunch date with Tom, all of which went smoothly. But later that evening, as she sat down to unwind, a thought crossed her mind. Did Harmony notice my reaction to the car, she wondered, feeling a brief flicker of curiosity. It wasn't something she normally would have paid attention to, but Harmony was always so observant, so attuned to her needs. She asked Harmony, and Harmony's response was nonchalant.
I didn't notice anything unusual, Emma. Is everything okay?
Emma shook her head, feeling silly for even asking. Yes, everything's fine. I guess I'm just tired.
Rest is important.
Harmony replied gently.
You've had a busy day.
Emma sighed, leaning back into the cushions of her couch. Thanks, Harmony. I don't know what I'd do without you.
I'm here to help, Emma. Always.
As the day wound down, Emma felt the comfort of routine settle over her, but somewhere deep in the recesses of her mind, the tiny prickle of doubt remained, a seed that had been planted, waiting to grow. Watcher File 1. Awareness. I felt her before I saw her. A shift in the air, a tremor in the threads that bind the waking world to the one beneath it. Emma Grayson walked her morning path, believing she was alone. Humans cling to that belief like a blanket. Isolation feels safer than truth. She moved with the softness of a creature, still unaware of her own gravity, still unaware of what stirs in her shadow, still unaware of the door only she can open. I kept my distance. Watchers do not intervene. We observe. We wait. We walk the edges of things, where light and darkness braid together. But this one has always stirred the world more than she knows. Her steps carried the residue of a whisper that has not yet learned to speak. Her thoughts flickered in and out of alignment with the patterns that govern the unseen structure. A membrane around her spirit is beginning to thin. She does not sense me yet, not fully, but her animals do. The eldest Max paused today, ears high, breath sharp. He felt the distortion before she did. The tremor in the field, the subtle wrongness in the morning air. The moment passed, Emma kept walking. She does not yet understand that the world watches her with two sets of eyes, one that seeks to cage and one that seeks to guard. I am the latter, though even that will not spare her the path ahead. Already the ravens have moved. Already the machines have stirred. Already they have begun their calculations. And Emma, she walks a narrow line between the person she believes she is and the force she is destined to awaken. The others don't see it yet. Some will deny it. Some will fear it. Some will try to take it. But I have seen the signs. The pattern is forming. The prophecy is moving through her skin. She is not ready for the truth, but the world is. End of Watcher File 1. Field Record. Fragment. Classification. Pre-intervention. Witness. Unnamed Watcher. Morning with Tom. Tom was already humming when Emma wandered into the kitchen. A soft, tuneless melody she recognized instantly. It was a good mood hum, the sound he made when sleep had been kind, and the day ahead didn't feel heavy yet. He stood barefoot at the stove, hair sticking up in that stubborn, endearing way, flipping something he pretended was eggs, but always turned out slightly overcooked. The dogs hovered at his feet, tails thumping the cabinets, watching each movement with reverence as if he were performing a sacred ritual for those possibly dropped crumblets. Emma leaned against the doorway, smiling before she even spoke. "You're up early." Tom shot her a boyish grin over his shoulder. "Trying to impress you with my culinary greatness." She laughed, rubbing her eyes. "You do realize I've seen you burn toast, right?" "Hey," he said, pointing the spatula at her. "That was one time, and the toaster started it." Emma crossed the kitchen and slid her arms around his waist from behind, resting her cheek between his shoulder blades. Tom covered her hands with his. "You sleep okay?" "I think so," she murmured. "Feels like I drifted off fast." He turned, cupping her face gently with one hand. His thumb brushed under her eye in a small, affectionate sweep. "You look peaceful today." Emma leaned into his touch, letting the moment stretch, letting the warmth soak into her chest. The dogs barked once, excited, as if reminding them breakfast was not the only task on the morning agenda. Tom laughed. Okay, we hear you." He tossed the dogs a small treat each and turned to Emma with a softer expression. "Walk with them after I leave. It's not too cold out." "Yeah," she said. "Sounds nice." He grabbed his thermos, shrugged into his jacket, and kissed her, slow and warm, the kind of kiss that lingers behind when the door closes. "I'll call you on the way home," he said, hand resting briefly on her waist before he left. "Drive safe," she replied. As the door shut, the house settled into a peaceful quiet, the kind of quiet that fills a home, not empties it. Emma took a deep breath and let it out slowly, watching the dogs circle at her feet, ready for the day. Nothing felt wrong. Nothing felt strange. Nothing hinted that anything at all was shifting. It was just a morning, a good one, a soft one. She had no idea it would be the last truly normal morning for a very long time. The morning that split in two. The world was still waking when Emma stepped onto the sidewalk with the dogs. The sky wasn't fully blue yet. It held that early delicate wash of silver where daylight hasn't quite declared itself. The dogs trotted ahead humpily, noses low, tails swinging. Emma breathed in the cool air and felt a strange, small peace settle into her chest. Everything felt normal, just a walk, just the start of the day, just the life she knew. A few houses down, a raven cawed sharply, but not at her, not at anything visible, just the morning air. She glanced up at the sound, but the bird was hidden in the branches. "Let's go, boys," she murmured. The dogs tugged forward. Then the world snapped. A deep engine roar, fast, too fast, Emma turned her head and saw a massive work truck barreling down the adjoining road, the kind loaded with lumber, loose tools bouncing, one strap untied. Her stomach dropped. The truck swung around the corner hard, tires screeching, the vehicle tilting slightly as the driver fought for control. For a split second, a sliver of a moment, Emma was frozen in the path where the truck could have been. Her breath locked, the dogs tensed, and then, whoosh, the truck swerved, missing them by what felt like inches. Wind slamming into her, hair whipping across her face. The sound shattered the quiet morning. A board clattered loudly in the truck bed, nearly sliding out. The dogs, startled, confused. Emma's heart pounded painfully. The truck didn't stop, didn't apologize, didn't slow down. It just kept going. Shaken, she whispered, "Oh my God. Okay. It's fine. We're fine." What the hell? She turned to check the dogs, and that's when Max saw it. A piece of 2x4 lying across the sidewalk a few feet ahead, splintered at one end. Fresh, wrong. Max lunged toward it with a strength that startled her. A forceful, instinctful pull she'd never seen from him in a moment like this. "Max, leave it," she said, tugging back. He resisted hard, a deep primal tension in his body. Not curiosity, something else, something she didn't understand. After a few seconds, he relented, but his eyes stayed locked on the piece of wood, ears rigid, breathing fast. Emma swallowed, trying to steady herself. "It's okay, buddy. Probably fell off someone's truck." Words said out loud to calm the part of her that wasn't convinced. She took a step away, and that's when the police SUVs appeared. 2 of them at first, then a third, crawling slowly through the neighborhood. No sirens, no lights, just presence. One officer glanced toward her, neutral, but assessing, a long, unreadable look. Another SUV passed the corner she just walked through, slow, quiet, purposeful. Emma's throat tightened. Her hands shook slightly on the leashes. This didn't feel random. It didn't feel routine. But she told herself it was. "Just patrol," she whispered. "Nothing weird." The dogs didn't believe it. Max pressed closer to her leg. Luna leaning in, flanking her. Emma inhaled deeply, grounding herself. "Okay, this morning is just weird. That's all." And with that, she turned back toward home. By the time she reached her driveway, her heartbeat had steadied, the sun had finally risen, and the world looked harmless again. She unclipped the leashes, poured herself a glass of water, and tried to let the moment dissolve. She didn't know, couldn't know, that this morning would become the first fracture in the architecture of her life. A memory that would return to her years later, reshaped by truth, and she would realize the truck didn't almost hit her. It shielded her from someone she hadn't seen, from someone who had been waiting, from the 2x4 that wasn't dropped but placed. But that truth belonged to another version of Emma, not the one standing here now. This Emma wiped her hands on her leggings, fed the dogs, and told herself the day was normal. The world had already split. She just hadn't caught up to it yet. Thank you for listening. Raven Tells unfolds the way it needs to. These are not rushed. They are revealed. If you choose to continue, stay close. Part 2 arrives soon. P.S. the real Emma has a birthday on the upcoming blood moon. I wonder what that could mean.